the words spoken by Julius Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, after witnessing the destruction his creation brought upon Hiroshima, have echoed through history. The devastation of Hiroshima was like nothing the world had ever seen before, a moment that changed everything. The birth of nuclear weapons marked one of the most critical chapters in human history. It shaped not only the fate of the world at that time, but continues to influence global security and politics even today. So what do we really know about this weapon, the atomic bomb, and the man who created it? This August, the much-anticipated film Oppenheimer will hit theaters, offering a dramatic glimpse into this story. If you're looking for answers about the man behind the bomb and the weapon itself, it's a perfect opportunity to watch. Or, if you prefer, you can stay right here with as we explore the life and legacy of Oppenheimer, the death dealer, the destroyer of worlds. Let's set the scene. It's a normal day in Hiroshima, one of Japan's most bustling industrial cities. The morning rush is underway. It's 8:15 a.m. on August 6, 1945. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until a strategic American bomber plane appears high above the city at 9,400 meters. Suddenly, a large black object is released and detonates 580 meters above the ground. This explosion is known as the birth of the second sun. The fireball that forms is hotter than the surface of the real sun, expanding out to nearly 2 kilometers wide. From the epicenter of the blast, everything within a 2-kilometer radius is instantly vaporized. Buildings, cars, air, water, money, animals, and human beings, reduced to nothingness in a split second. At that moment, the sky over Hiroshima loses all color. No one can see anything but the blinding light from the bomb's explosion, which temporarily blinds everyone in its path. But the blast's light is only the beginning of the horror. The explosion sends forth a massive blast of heated air and an intense heat wave, scorching everything within a 10-kilometer radius. Water boils and evaporates, trees and homes catch fire and burn to ashes, and the fluids within human bodies literally vanish. The shock wave races faster than the speed of sound, flattening the city into a wasteland in an instant. This catastrophic event created the iconic mushroom cloud, a symbol of destruction, and the man responsible for unleashing this monster onto the world was Julius Robert Oppenheimer. Born on April 22, 1904, into a Jewish family, Oppenheimer was raised in privilege. His father was a wealthy textile importer who had emigrated from Germany to the United States in 1888, and his mother, Ella Friedman, was an artist who had arrived in America with nothing, no education, no English skills, just determination. Oppenheimer also had a younger brother, Frank, who would go on to become a physicist and assist him in his scientific career. In the social context of the time, the Oppenheimer family belonged to the affluent middle class. By 1912, they moved into a prestigious apartment on the 11th floor of 155 Riverside Drive in Manhattan, an area known for its grand mansions and modern homes. Their home was filled with an impressive art collection, including works by notable artists like Picasso and several original paintings by Vincent van Gogh. With such a supportive background and a brilliant mind, it's no surprise that young Oppenheimer thrived academically. He attended a progressive school in New York City, excelling not only in literature and languages, particularly English and French, but also developing a strong passion for mineralogy. Remarkably, he completed both 3rd and 4th grades in a single year, and by the end of middle school he was already skipping grades. By high school, Oppenheimer's prodigious intellect was clear. He was particularly drawn to physics and chemistry, subjects that would shape his future. However, despite his genius, fate dealt him a setback. At 18, he contracted ulcerative colitis, a painful digestive disease which delayed his college entry by a year. During this challenging time, Oppenheimer balanced rigorous academic requirements at Harvard University, not only focusing on chemistry but also studying history, literature, philosophy, and mathematics. He compensated for his late start by taking 6 courses each semester and was inducted into the prestigious Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society in his freshman year. Soon after, he advanced directly to graduate studies in physics, bypassing foundational courses due to his self-study. It was here, during his graduate years, that the legend of Oppenheimer began to take shape. In 1924, he received an invitation to work at the Cavendish Laboratory at Cambridge University in England. Though he struggled with practical laboratory work, his theoretical insights and brilliance earned him respect. Oppenheimer was tall and slender, a heavy smoker, often skipping meals while deeply immersed in thought. His friends worried about his self-destructive tendencies, especially during bouts of depression. One notable episode occurred during a visit to Paris, where his close friend Francis confided about his upcoming marriage. Oppenheimer's reaction was unexpectedly cold, pushing the friend away, a reflection of his internal struggles. Despite these challenges, Oppenheimer persevered. In March 1927, at just 23 years old, he earned his PhD and published numerous important papers on quantum mechanics, contributing to a field still in its infancy. After completing his studies, he embarked on an academic career, renowned not just for his intellect, but for his keen ability to identify key problems. He dedicated himself to those problems, striving for solutions, and shared his insights openly with colleagues. At the height of his career, Oppenheimer supervised between 8,000 to 10,000 graduate students, along with about 6 postdoctoral researchers. He met with his students daily, discussing topics ranging from quantum dynamics and particle physics to nuclear theory. Oppenheimer made significant breakthroughs in theoretical astrophysics, especially general relativity, nuclear physics, and quantum electrodynamics. His mathematical approach to quantum mechanics and relativity anticipated discoveries that would only be confirmed decades later, including aspects of neutron stars and cosmology. Throughout his life, Oppenheimer undertook countless research projects across diverse scientific fields. However, history remembers him less for his broad scientific contributions and more for his pivotal role in the atomic bomb project. As we move into the 1940s, the world was engulfed in the turmoil of World War II. On October 6, 1939, a letter was placed on the desk of then-President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Nazi Germany was making groundbreaking advancements in nuclear research. The letter described the potential for a new type of bomb with unprecedented destructive power. This letter was signed by Albert Einstein, not as a spy or secret agent, but as a concerned scientist whose friends had been tracking these developments for some time. In December 1938, 2 German scientists unexpectedly discovered that uranium atoms could be split into 2 smaller radioactive fragments, a process called nuclear fission. This discovery opened the terrifying possibility of building an atomic bomb, far more powerful than anything humanity had ever seen. American scientists, including physicists Leo Szilard and Enrico Fermi, recognized the significance immediately. They teamed up with Columbia University, beginning efforts to build their own nuclear reactor. But then, troubling news came from Europe. Germany had seized uranium mines in Czechoslovakia and barred the Czechs from supplying uranium to anyone except the Nazis. More alarming was evidence that Nazi Germany was racing to build its own atomic bomb. At this point, the American scientists knew they needed the backing of someone influential. Szilard arranged a meeting with Albert Einstein to explain the urgency. Einstein agreed to co-sign a letter urging the U.S. government to take action. That letter was delivered to President Roosevelt. Roosevelt grasped the gravity of the situation but knew the task ahead was enormous. He tasked his military aides, including Major General Edwin Paw Watson, to lead a secretive and ambitious project to develop the atomic bomb. By 1939, the U.S. had formed advisory committees and began funding uranium research. The goal was to master the nuclear chain reaction and build a functional reactor. In May 1942, the Office of Scientific Research and Development invited Oppenheimer to join the Manhattan Project, the secret government program dedicated to atomic weapon development. Oppenheimer earned the nickname the coordinator of the chain reaction because of his uncanny ability to understand complex scientific details and coordinate the efforts of diverse research teams. Though he was a key figure, Oppenheimer initially did not wield the full authority he would later hold. That changed in June 1942, when the U.S. Army formally took over the Manhattan Project, establishing the Los Alamos laboratory in New Mexico. The project's leadership appointed Colonel Leslie Groves to direct the military effort. Groves, despite initial reservations, chose Oppenheimer to lead the scientific team at Los Alamos. This decision surprised many. Oppenheimer was known for his lack of political ties and was not a traditional leader of massive projects. However, Groves was impressed by Oppenheimer's deep knowledge of bomb design and his broad scientific expertise. Groves saw in Oppenheimer a passionate ambition that could drive the project forward, a quality essential for success. It's important to note that America was not alone in pursuing nuclear weapons. German physicists, many of whom had fled the Nazis, were racing to develop their own atomic bombs. Among them was Werner Heisenberg, a brilliant theoretical physicist. To ensure security and concentrate resources, Groves and Oppenheimer decided to establish a remote laboratory. After extensive scouting, they settled on a secluded site in New Mexico, the former site of the Los Alamos Ranch School. This remote location became the heart of the Manhattan Project, where the scientific and military teams worked under tight secrecy. Interestingly, reports from the military suggested that Einstein was viewed as a politically radical figure with communist sympathies. The U.S. government even imposed censorship on media coverage of nuclear research. Despite the political climate, Oppenheimer quickly mastered the art of managing a large and diverse group of scientists. He was attentive to the social and cultural tensions between researchers and military officials, and became a respected leader who embodied the project's scientific ideals. Oppenheimer's remarkable ability to grasp the core issues of any topic swiftly made him indispensable. Unlike a commander issuing orders from afar, he was present at every critical stage, in labs, meetings, and brainstorming sessions, engaging directly with the team. He rarely dictated ideas himself, but influenced the project through constant, intense involvement, inspiring a culture of enthusiasm and challenge. After 6 years of intense work, the Manhattan Project scientists developed what they believed was an effective nuclear weapon. On July 16, 1945, the first atomic bomb, codenamed Gadget, was transported to the desert testing site at the Trinity site near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The bomb was housed within a heavily shielded steel container designed to protect the plutonium core during transport. When detonated, the explosion released energy equivalent to 20,000 tons of TNT, creating a massive fireball and a mushroom cloud soaring over 12 kilometers high. The test exceeded all expectations and ushered in the atomic age. But the world would never be the same again. Within 30 days, the bomb was deployed in warfare. On August 6, 1945, Little Boy, the first atomic bomb used in combat, was dropped on Hiroshima. 3 days later, a second bomb, Fat Man, devastated Nagasaki. For the project's scientists, it was a moment of triumph and horror. Many, including Oppenheimer, later expressed deep remorse for their role in unleashing such destructive power. During the Cold War era, Oppenheimer became an advocate for nuclear disarmament and peace. His activism brought him under scrutiny, and he faced accusations of communist sympathies from the House UN American Activities Committee. Nevertheless, the Manhattan Project irrevocably altered the course of history. By 1949, Soviet scientists had replicated the atomic bomb based on data they obtained from the U.S. effort. Post-war America established the Atomic Energy Commission to regulate nuclear technology's peaceful and military uses. In 1964, under President Lyndon B. Johnson, private ownership of nuclear materials was allowed, opening the door to civilian nuclear power. The nuclear fission technology developed during the Manhattan Project became the foundation for nuclear reactors, power plants, and advanced medical imaging and cancer treatments like MRI and radiotherapy. Today, 9 countries are known to possess nuclear weapons. But oddly, Germany, where much of the early research began, is not among them. It's quite ironic that Germany, where nuclear research first took off, is not a nuclear power today. Back in World War II, German scientists were actually among the pioneers in nuclear physics. In 1938, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann discovered nuclear fission, which laid the groundwork for atomic bomb development. Despite this breakthrough, Germany's progress was hindered by internal struggles and political decisions. The Nazi regime's racist policies led to the loss of many brilliant Jewish scientists who fled the country, including some who later joined the Allies' projects. Yet Germany still retained a significant team of talented physicists dedicated to nuclear research. By 1939, the Nazis had seized uranium mines in occupied territories like Czechoslovakia, securing critical materials for their program. They also controlled the only heavy water production facility in Norway, essential for nuclear reactors. These resources were vital but insufficiently utilized. Although Germany attempted to build a nuclear reactor near Berlin, their efforts lagged behind due to resource shortages, internal competition, and lack of coordinated leadership. Meanwhile, the Allies were aware of Germany's nuclear ambitions and launched covert operations to sabotage their progress. In November 1942, British commandos targeted the heavy water plant in Norway, successfully damaging the facility. Allied air forces also bombed uranium processing plants across Europe. Despite these efforts, Hitler's nuclear program never achieved a functioning reactor or bomb before the war ended. One of the leading German physicists, Werner Heisenberg, who had won the Nobel Prize, headed much of the Nazi nuclear research. However, his team was divided into smaller groups working independently, lacking the unified direction that the Manhattan Project enjoyed. As Allied forces advanced in 1944, desperate German scientists attempted to finalize their experiments. But their progress was too slow, and the war's tide had turned decisively against them. Towards the end of the war, German physicists fled south to a secret laboratory hidden beneath a castle in southern Germany, continuing last-ditch tests. In 1953, Heisenberg published a detailed account of these experiments in his book on nuclear physics, describing the challenges they faced. Among the materials used were hundreds of uranium cubes, crucial for sustaining a chain reaction. Despite these efforts, they never reached the critical mass necessary for a sustained nuclear reaction. Interestingly, a sample uranium cube from these experiments still exists today at the University of Maryland. It weighs about 2.2 kilograms and measures roughly 5 centimeters on each side, one of the earliest physical artifacts linked to nuclear weapons research. So how did the United States end up with some of these uranium cubes? As the Allies invaded German territory, they launched Operation Alsos, a mission aimed at capturing Nazi nuclear technology and scientists. In April 1945, the Alsos team captured Heisenberg and other leading physicists, learning that the Nazi program was far behind the Allies. They also discovered stockpiles of uranium cubes buried near a nuclear test site and caches of heavy water hidden in unconventional places. These materials were shipped to the U.S. and later shared with the Soviet Union to prevent their use in a post-war nuclear arms race. Contrary to earlier assumptions that Germany lacked sufficient uranium, recently declassified documents reveal that the Nazis had amassed large quantities, but disorganization and strategic missteps hindered their success. Had they concentrated their resources more effectively, it's possible they might have developed a bomb first. Instead, Hitler's divided leadership and poor management doomed the program. Meanwhile, uranium cubes leaked onto the black market, finding their way into private collections, including some owned by prominent figures. Today, as we live in the nuclear age, the legacy of these early efforts remains both a source of scientific marvel and sobering reflection. What do you think about J. Robert Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb, the ultimate weapon? Hopefully, such immense destructive power makes us all pause and reconsider before pushing any buttons that could unleash catastrophe. Thank you for joining me today. We'll meet again soon in the same space. Until then, take care and have a great day. Now, let's dive deeper into the Manhattan Project itself, the massive secret endeavor that would change history forever. After the United States realized the urgency of developing an atomic bomb, they established the Manhattan Project in 1942. This project brought together some of the brightest minds in science, engineering, and the military, united by the shared goal of ending World War II. J. Robert Oppenheimer was appointed as the scientific director of the Los Alamos laboratory, the heart of the project. Despite lacking a Nobel Prize, his broad knowledge, leadership skills, and ability to bring people together made him the perfect fit. Managing the Manhattan Project was no small feat. The project involved thousands of scientists, technicians, and workers, all operating under the strictest secrecy. Oppenheimer balanced intense scientific challenges with the pressures of wartime urgency. He wasn't a hands-on experimentalist, but excelled at recognizing important problems and guiding teams towards solutions. His presence was felt everywhere, from the lab benches to the meeting rooms, creating an atmosphere charged with dedication and determination. Oppenheimer was known for his intense focus, sometimes neglecting his own health. Friends worried about his mental well-being as he wrestled with the moral weight of the weapon he was helping to create. During this time, the world was changing rapidly. On December 2, 1942, scientists at the University of Chicago achieved the first controlled nuclear chain reaction, an essential milestone proving that a sustained reaction was possible. Meanwhile, progress at Los Alamos accelerated. Teams developed different bomb designs and refined methods to enrich uranium and produce plutonium. On July 16, 1945, the first ever atomic bomb test, known as the Trinity Test, took place in the New Mexico desert. Codenamed Gadget, the bomb unleashed an explosive power equivalent to about 20,000 tons of TNT. Witnesses described an immense fireball and a mushroom cloud towering 12 kilometers into the sky. The shockwave shattered windows miles away. The success of this test confirmed that the project's efforts had paid off. Within weeks, the world would witness the devastating effects of these weapons, first in Hiroshima on August 6 and then in Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima, nicknamed Little Boy, destroyed nearly everything within a 2-kilometer radius. The intense heat and radiation caused unimaginable suffering and loss of life. Just 3 days later, the bomb Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. However, the aftermath was complex. While some saw the bombings as necessary to end the war swiftly, many scientists and civilians grappled with the ethical implications. Oppenheimer himself famously quoted the Bhagavad Gita, reflecting on the moment of the bomb's detonation. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." In the years following the war, Oppenheimer became a vocal advocate for controlling nuclear weapons and preventing an arms race. His stance put him at odds with certain government officials during the Cold War, and he faced political scrutiny. Despite this, his legacy as the father of the atomic bomb remains firmly established. The Manhattan Project forever altered the course of history, science, and warfare. Today, 9 countries possess nuclear weapons, but the threat of their use reminds us of the immense responsibility humanity bears. As we reflect on this chapter, we see how science can be both a tool for progress and a source of profound ethical dilemmas. Join me next time as we explore more about the atomic age and its impact on the modern world. As the atomic age dawned, the world found itself forever changed. The weapons created in the Manhattan Project not only ended a devastating war, but also ushered in a new era of geopolitical tension, the Cold War. After World War II, the United States maintained a monopoly on nuclear weapons for a few years. But soon, other nations joined the race. In 1949, the Soviet Union successfully tested its own atomic bomb, shocking the world and intensifying the arms race. The development and spread of nuclear weapons raised urgent questions. How could humanity prevent a catastrophic nuclear war? What policies would keep these weapons out of the wrong hands? J. Robert Oppenheimer, once a champion of the bomb's development, became a leading voice for nuclear arms control and peaceful use of atomic energy. He warned about the dangers of an uncontrolled arms race and advocated for international cooperation. But Oppenheimer's political views, especially during the tense early years of the Cold War, brought him under suspicion. In 1954, during a highly publicized hearing, he faced accusations of having communist sympathies and lost his security clearance. Despite this setback, Oppenheimer's contributions to science and humanity remain immense. His leadership and vision helped shape modern physics, nuclear science, and our understanding of atomic power. The technology born from the Manhattan Project found many peaceful applications as well. Nuclear energy began to power cities, while nuclear medicine advanced diagnostics and treatments for diseases including cancer. Today, nuclear reactors supply a significant portion of the world's electricity, highlighting the dual-edged nature of nuclear science, destructive weapons on one side, and powerful energy and medical tools on the other. It's also important to remember the human cost behind these scientific breakthroughs. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki caused profound suffering, with tens of thousands killed instantly and many more affected by long-term radiation effects. Survivors, known as hibakusha, have shared their stories to remind us of the devastating consequences of nuclear warfare and the urgent need for peace. In the decades since, many treaties and international agreements have sought to limit nuclear proliferation and reduce global stockpiles. From the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons (NPT) to various arms reduction agreements, nations have tried to prevent nuclear conflict and promote disarmament. Despite these efforts, the threat of nuclear weapons remains a pressing issue. Geopolitical conflicts, technological advances, and emerging powers keep the subject highly relevant today. Reflecting on this history, we see how science and politics intertwine, shaping the fate of nations and the future of humanity. Understanding the story of Julius Robert Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb helps us appreciate the power and responsibility that comes with technological progress. It reminds us to use knowledge wisely, balancing innovation with ethical considerations and a commitment to peace. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll explore the ongoing legacy of the atomic era and how it continues to influence our world. Following the initial development and use of nuclear weapons, the global landscape shifted dramatically. The atomic bomb wasn't just a weapon, it became a symbol of power, fear, and the dawning of a new geopolitical era. Countries around the world scrambled to develop their own nuclear capabilities. The Soviet Union's successful detonation of their atomic bomb in 1949 broke the United States monopoly and sparked the Cold War's nuclear arms race. Both superpowers invested heavily in building vast arsenals of nuclear weapons, leading to decades of tension, brinkmanship, and mutual deterrence. Meanwhile, scientific advancements continued apace. Nuclear physics evolved beyond weaponry to peaceful applications, like nuclear energy for electricity and medical uses such as radiotherapy. J. Robert Oppenheimer himself, despite the controversies and setbacks, became an advocate for responsible use of nuclear technology. He warned about the dangers of unregulated proliferation and the need for international cooperation. Yet, the path wasn't smooth. The Red Scare in the United States during the 1950s led to political persecution, and Oppenheimer's security clearance was revoked amid accusations that still divide historians today. The ethical debates surrounding nuclear weapons, their development, and their use continue to this day. The horrific impact of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remains a powerful reminder of the human cost of these weapons. The survivors' testimonies have inspired movements for nuclear disarmament and peace. On the diplomatic front, efforts such as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, sought to limit the spread of nuclear weapons and promote peaceful nuclear technology. Still, challenges remain. Some nations continue nuclear testing, and tensions flare over proliferation concerns. The legacy of the atomic bomb era influences global security policies, international relations, and ethical discussions about science and warfare. Reflecting on these developments, we see the complex relationship between scientific discovery and its societal impact. Oppenheimer's story is a testament to the brilliance and burden of pioneering minds, capable of creating both incredible advances and profound destruction. As we navigate the 21st century, the lessons from this era remind us to carefully balance innovation with responsibility and power with compassion. In future episodes, we'll explore how nuclear technology has shaped not only geopolitics, but also energy, medicine, and global cooperation. Thank you for joining this deep dive into one of the most pivotal chapters in modern history. By mid-20th century, the world was engulfed in the flames of the Second World War. On October 6, 1939, a letter was placed on the desk of then-President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning that Nazi Germany had made significant advancements in nuclear research. This letter, famously signed by Albert Einstein and other leading scientists, outlined the terrifying possibility of a new kind of bomb, one far more destructive than anything previously known. In December 1938, German physicists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann had discovered nuclear fission, showing that the uranium atom could be split into smaller parts, releasing vast amounts of energy. This groundbreaking discovery sparked intense efforts by scientists worldwide, including American physicists Leo Szilard and Enrico Fermi, to harness this power for weapons. However, concerns grew as Nazi Germany seized uranium mines in Czechoslovakia and controlled critical materials like heavy water in Norway, both essential for nuclear development. The Allies knew that if Germany succeeded in creating an atomic bomb first, the consequences could be catastrophic. Albert Einstein, though not directly involved in nuclear research, used his influence to urge the U.S. government to invest in atomic research. His letter to Roosevelt helped initiate the Manhattan Project, the secret American program to develop nuclear weapons. In 1942, the U.S. Army took over the project, appointing General Leslie Groves to lead it. The scientific leadership fell to J. Robert Oppenheimer, a brilliant physicist known for his deep understanding of theoretical and experimental physics. Oppenheimer's role was pivotal. Despite his complex personality and occasional bouts of self-doubt and depression, he was a master coordinator. He brought together thousands of scientists, engineers, and military personnel, overseeing efforts at secret sites like Los Alamos, New Mexico. The pressure was immense, time was critical, as the war raged on. Scientists worked around the clock, driven by the hope of ending the war quickly, but also haunted by the devastating power they were unleashing. On July 16, 1945, the first atomic bomb was tested in the New Mexico desert. The explosion created a fireball larger than anything humanity had ever seen, with a mushroom cloud soaring miles into the sky. The success of the test marked the dawn of the atomic age. Just weeks later, on August 6, 1945, the bomb Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima, followed by Fat Man on Nagasaki 3 days later. The immediate destruction was horrific. Tens of thousands died instantly, with many more suffering from radiation sickness in the aftermath. Many scientists involved in the Manhattan Project, including Oppenheimer, grappled with the moral consequences of their work. Some felt a deep remorse for the devastation caused. After the war, Oppenheimer became a vocal advocate for controlling nuclear weapons and promoting peaceful uses of atomic energy. However, during the Red Scare, his political affiliations and past associations led to investigations and the revocation of his security clearance. Despite this, his contributions to science and the shaping of modern physics remain undeniable. The Manhattan Project forever changed warfare, geopolitics, and our understanding of human capability for both creation and destruction. As the decades passed, nuclear technology continued to evolve in ways that reshaped the world far beyond weapons development. The harnessing of nuclear energy became a cornerstone for generating electricity in many countries, offering a powerful, though sometimes controversial, alternative to fossil fuels. Nuclear power plants, with their immense energy output, promised cleaner air and energy independence. However, accidents such as those at 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima highlighted the potential risks, reminding humanity of the immense responsibility that comes with controlling such forces. Meanwhile, nuclear medicine emerged as a remarkable field, saving countless lives. Techniques like radiation therapy, nuclear imaging, and radioactive tracers became essential tools in diagnosing and treating diseases, particularly cancer. Despite these peaceful applications, the specter of nuclear weapons continued to loom large. The Cold War's end did not eliminate the threat. Instead, it transformed into concerns over proliferation, terrorism, and the management of aging arsenals. International treaties and diplomatic efforts have been vital in addressing these challenges. Agencies like the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, work tirelessly to promote safe, peaceful use of nuclear technology while preventing misuse. Public opinion on nuclear energy and weapons remains divided, influenced by memories of war, accidents, and ongoing political tensions. Education and transparency are critical in shaping informed discussions about nuclear issues, balancing the benefits against the risks. J. Robert Oppenheimer's complex legacy reminds us that scientific achievements carry profound ethical questions. His life story encourages reflection on the responsibilities scientists bear and the impacts their work can have on humanity. The atomic age has indelibly changed our world, shaping politics, science, culture, and global security. Looking forward, emerging technologies like nuclear fusion offer hope for safer, cleaner energy solutions, potentially ushering in a new era of progress. As we conclude this exploration, we honor the past while looking ahead to a future where humanity strives to use its knowledge wisely and peacefully. Thank you for being part of this journey through history, science, and the human story intertwined with nuclear power. The aftermath of World War II and the dawn of the nuclear age sparked an intense arms race, especially between the United States and the Soviet Union. By 1949, the Soviets had successfully developed their own atomic bomb, fueled in part by intelligence gathered from earlier American projects. In response, the U.S. government established the Atomic Energy Commission to oversee nuclear research, production, and regulation, shifting control from the military to a civilian agency. This transition marked a new era in nuclear technology, one that aimed to balance military needs with peaceful applications like energy production and medical technology. Throughout the following decades, nuclear technology advanced rapidly. Reactors were built to generate electricity, and nuclear medicine emerged with tools such as MRI machines and radiation therapy for cancer treatment. The dual nature of atomic energy, as both a source of power and a potential weapon, became a defining feature of the Cold War era. Interestingly, despite their early dominance in nuclear research, Germany never fully developed an atomic bomb during World War II. Though German scientists were pioneers in nuclear fission, various factors, including political interference, resource limitations, and Allied sabotage, hindered their progress. The Nazi regime's racial policies also led to the loss of many top physicists who fled or were persecuted, further stalling Germany's nuclear ambitions. The Allies, particularly the United States and Britain, launched extensive operations to disrupt German nuclear research. Sabotage missions targeted heavy water plants in Norway and air raids bombed uranium processing facilities. These efforts played a significant role in preventing Nazi Germany from achieving nuclear capability. On the scientific front, German physicist Werner Heisenberg, a key figure in quantum mechanics, led Germany's nuclear research. Despite his expertise, the program failed to reach critical mass for a nuclear chain reaction before the war's end. Post-war investigations revealed that the fragmented and underfunded nature of the German program, combined with strategic Allied actions, kept the country from joining the atomic arms race. Meanwhile, the United States and Soviet Union escalated their development of thermonuclear weapons, vastly increasing destructive power and intensifying geopolitical tensions. The legacy of nuclear weapons remains complex, a mix of scientific triumph, ethical dilemma, and persistent global threat. As we continue to study this history, it is crucial to remember the human stories behind the science, the brilliant minds, the moral struggles, and the profound impact on the world. In the decades following World War II, the world grappled with the terrifying reality of nuclear weapons. The destructive power demonstrated in Hiroshima and Nagasaki forever altered the course of history. Leaders, scientists, and citizens alike faced profound questions about the future of humanity and the role of such devastating technology. Julius Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, became an emblematic figure of this era. a man who helped create the most powerful weapon known, yet struggled deeply with its consequences. Throughout the Cold War, he advocated for nuclear disarmament and cautioned against the arms race spiraling out of control. Despite his efforts, the nuclear age brought a tense standoff between superpowers, with stockpiles of weapons threatening global annihilation. The threat of nuclear war influenced diplomacy, culture, and science, shaping the second half of the 20th century. Meanwhile, peaceful uses of nuclear technology flourished. Nuclear power plants began supplying energy worldwide, medical imaging and treatments improved millions of lives, and scientific research expanded our understanding of atomic physics. Today, 9 countries are known to possess nuclear weapons, and the debate over their existence, proliferation, and control continues. The shadow of nuclear war remains a sobering reminder of the delicate balance between human innovation and destruction. Looking back, the story of Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb is more than just a chapter in history. It is a profound human saga about ambition, responsibility, and the search for peace in a world forever changed by science. As we reflect on this story, it invites us to consider the power of knowledge and the importance of wisdom in how we use it. The legacy of the atomic bomb challenges us to learn from the past and strive for a safer future for all. Thank you for joining this journey through one of the most pivotal moments in modern history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries and stories that have shaped our world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.